All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are we have today in the house the gentleman, two of the team members from the Rio Grande Valley Ghostbusters. Now, is it just Rio Grande Valley Ghostbusters, or is it Ghost Corps now? Because of the movie, things have changed.
So we are the Rio Grande Valley Ghostbusters for the RGV, and we are part of the Ghost Corps, which is an official franchise, designated by Sony and Ivan Reitman and Dan Aykroyd, the creators of Ghostbusters.
So, real quick, introduce yourselves.
Yeah, my name is Michael Betancourt. I am one of the rookies for the RGV Ghostbusters.
And my name is Herman Castillo, and I am also one of the newbies to the group. Maybe 2, 3 years going on.
All right. So everybody's paying their dues. Getting their chops.
Yeah, we like to call them the Rio Grande Valley newbie. That kind of like, I'm still new to the job, but you've been here for 3 or 4 years.
For a while, yeah. So you were telling me that the other guys currently are right now at a birthday party.
Yeah, we do events across the Rio Grande Valley and honestly across Texas. And we have some of us that travel to San Antonio even further. So it's difficult to get us all in the same room at the same exact time. Right now we're reaching numbers at about almost 20 in the group total. And we are at birthday parties, sponsoring and fundraising events, Comic-Cons, you name it, we do it.
You guys ever go to a birthday party and the kids are like, they're crying out for He-Man instead of Ghostbusters?
He-Man, not nowadays, more like Sonic the Hedgehog, Minecraft a little bit. We do get that. Yeah, Fortnite for sure.
Who are these guys?
Yeah, the guy from Fortnite. Yeah.
So, guys, so tell me a little bit how the organization started here. Obviously, like everything, it starts from love, right? For the franchise, the characters that we all kind of grew up with. How did the RGB Ghostbusters come to be?
It started off with the Ghost Corps when they sent out basically a message letting us know that we could apply to be official franchises of the show at the films to go ahead and keep that franchise going, to keep Ghostbusters prevalent in pop culture and in the community. So we have two founders, Dan and Ray, who went ahead and applied for this license. And once it was applied for and you received it, that was it. There was going to be no more created. If you got in when you got in, then that's it. So the Rio Grande Valley applied with our two founders, and we were sanctioned as an official franchise here.
So there cannot be another Ghostbusters crew, per se, in the valley,
because not officially sanctioned. Yeah, we're the only ones that are actually Ghost Corps official franchise members.
So you telling me that guy at the Pulga at the flea market that's going around with it?
He might be part of us for all we know at this point. But as official Ghost Corps members, attached to Sony and the actual product itself, and sanctioned to use what we use, we go ahead and we're the only ones in the Rio Grande Valley that
they have. I'm not sure if you guys seen the flea market in Alamo. They have the these lookalikes coming out. They have that Bronco 956.
Oh,
am I gonna be seeing a Ghostbuster 956? An Egon lookalike?
If I could get the hair for Egon, I'd totally try it. But that hair's impossible.
So what's one of the mission statements that the RGB Ghostbusters goes on, or what's y'all's intent?
Honestly, our mission is education and community involvement and community care. A lot of organizations come together and they focus on one only. We're going to fundraise, and that's great. People need money, need assistance. Or we're only going to educate, so here's some books, kids, and read books. Or, oh no, we just want to have fun, so the kids are going to come and just have fun. And all those things separately are wonderful. But with us, our main focus is to make sure that you are learning while you're having fun, so that entertainment connects to your education and it sticks, while we're going ahead and helping organization members, community members, community individuals who need extra assistance, whether that's fundraising to help with surgeries or food, providing extra outreach for community events like Boys and Girls Clubs, things of that nature. So it's our main mission to make sure that we are giving back, educating, and showing that education can be entertaining and can change the world along the way.
What's the most recent event that you guys kind of took?
We are at events all over. What's the most recent one you've done, Herman?
That I went and took part of, the most recent one was at one of the cancer treatment centers for children in the Callan area. That was one of the last ones that I participated in, that I was able to participate in. But like how he was saying, we do a lot of charity work, especially for kids' treatment hospitals. whether it be for physical disabilities, cancer treatments, whatever. As long as it involves kids, we are there to help pick up their spirits. And that's the one thing that people always ask me, like, Ghostbusters, why? And I'm like, well, that's how I'm, look, growing up, everyone usually had Batman, Superman. Everyone has, yeah. I'm like, the difference is you all might like Marvel, DC, certain superheroes. Well, my, you know,
Superhero.
fan,
Yeah.
my fan, what I'm a fan of is Ghostbusters. I'm like, that's the only difference. And I'm like, and just like them, where, you see them visiting children's hospitals where they're sick or helping out the kids to pick up their spirit. That's what we do. We're out there for them because there are some kids out there who see us and, oh, the Ghostbusters, and it brings a smile to their face.
So it's interesting that you bring up the superhero when you're a kid. Uh, like I remember Ghostbusters 1 came out in 1981. That's when I was born. So obviously I did not see it
Yeah.
when it came out. I didn't get to know Ghostbusters maybe until the 90s,
Okay.
and automatically I was in love, right? Ghostbusters has always been kind of like one of those movies, dear and near to my heart. Um, and like you were saying earlier, like right now about looking up and just being like something about the Ghostbusters. So I was one of these people, one of these kids that I had quite a few experiences with the paranormal,
Right.
right? Since I was a kid, I can remember as a kid, like seeing and experiencing, things that, I did not kind of could explain. And then you see this movie that it's not a ghost movie, it's not like a horror movie, right? It's these characters that you almost relate to, Ray and Egon, and you have the skeptic, you have the nerd, you have the occultist, and then you have the guy, Winston. He's just
They're ready to
hey,
Joe off the street,
hey
basically.
man, whatever, dude. Like y'all believe whatever you want me to believe.
Yeah, which by far is my favorite line in the entire movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if the pay is right.
Yeah, I'll believe whatever you want.
But and I felt like those were characters in my life. Like I had friends of mine who were like, they've never seen a ghost or they've never experienced the paranormal, but they want to believe, and they have
Yep.
books. And back then in the late '80s, '90s, there was no internet. And then living here in the valley, where do you find books on the paranormal? Like where do you get information, you know,
Well,
about that?
all that information is stuff that in the Rio Grande Valley, especially that's passed down within your own families.
Yes.
I remember growing up, just like you, what attracted me so much to Ghostbusters as a child was it was one of the very few films that while sitting there, my grandfather would watch with me because he said these people, like though they're white and they're African American, they're gente. They go out and they work every day. They're out there fixing their own car. They're making their own gear. And he's like, that's the same way we do it. We go out to the field, we fix our tractors, we do our own work, and they're still seeing crazy things, but every day they have to keep going.
Yeah.
And it attracted him to it, and I was like, oh, I can watch this with Grandpa. He's down to watch this. I mean, he wasn't going to watch Michael Keaton and be Batman. No, Michael, he's rich. He can do whatever he wants. But Winston Zedmore and everybody needed to earn that paycheck.
When they brought in when he brings in the Ecto one, when he brought in the Hearst,
Yeah.
and they're like, hey, you can't park this trash.
Yeah,
It's
that
like
here, and it's a mess.
it's a mess. It's like got it for a good deal. I mean, needs suspension, needs this, needs that. I'm like, it reminds me of my last car that I bought. It's like I bring it home, and my grandma is like, mijo,
Es mugrero,
it's
tíralo. Yeah,
it's cracked.
throw it away.
No. Like, look, okay, it needs brakes, it needs a new fuel pump, but the bones are good.
Yeah.
It's like, so every time, like again, I see the movie, and I think I just saw it a couple days ago too, for no other reason and than just have a good laugh. Um, Again, like some kids, and again for whatever reason, Superman, right? He stands for justice. Batman. Um, he wants people to get their upcomings, or like to get just for
Right.
people who are so maybe kids were done wrong at some point in their life, and they're like, yeah, I can relate to Superman because I want to do that, right? But you can never be Superman.
Right.
However, you can be a Ghostbuster. Like any kid out there can grow up to be a Ghostbuster. I mean, not just metaphorically, but there are like a lot of the paranormal
Yeah.
investigators out
In
there.
reality, you can actually be a paranormal investigator. You can actually go hunt ghosts. Try to see what is really the separation between fiction, our culture, and reality. And it's something that, as us as fans, as part of the Rio Grande Valley Ghostbusters, when we go on like what used to be UTPA, I think now it's Texas Southmost haunted tour on
Oh,
the
yeah.
campus. Most of us have ghost stories from our families. Those are all important aspects of what makes it our reality, that we can actually do this.
Now, as Ghostbusters, do you guys participate in paranormal research, or as either part of the team, or as a hobby outside of the?
So it depends on which team members you talk to. There are team members that are hardcore gung ho for a paranormal investigation. Then you have more of the research side. I myself am getting my doctorate through Pacifica University in methodological study and folklore. So I'm learning myths and legends and how those things connect to create the stories that we're learning and bring it back home so we can save stories of La Llorona, the Kukui, the Chusas, things that are important here for our area that are kind of getting whitewashed and forgotten. So we keep that culture. So yeah, some of us are really into it. Myself, I don't like going on paranormal investigations because my grandmother was a curandera, and she was a real big on the concept of los que buscan encuentran.
Oh, yeah.
Those who go looking
around
for
and
it,
find
will
out.
find out. Yeah, basically. So I just rather not find out at this point. I mean, with my luck, I'll bring something home.
Let me tell you, so you haven't had any kind of experience.
Oh, tons of them. Yeah, like I said, my family is split into two different pieces. We have the white magic side and the black magic side. So
Right.
we have curanderas and we have brujas and brujos and all that jazz. So never the two like to mix. And then my parents decided, hey, we're going to get married, Romeo and Juliet style.
What about you? Any experiences?
I'm pretty sure I have had, but I'm the type that,
Nah.
like to, yeah.
It was a cat. It was a cat.
Yeah, it was a cat.
Just kind of, because it's true, like what he says. If you go out looking for it,
Yeah.
more likely you'll find it, and you'll find it. It's because, well, hey, you were the one out there looking for it, So it's that kind of thing where it's like, yeah, I like to research, like how he says, because it's true. It's important to know where things come from, how did it originate, where did it start, and then the more research you do and studying, you look at, wow, well, there's another group, ethnicity, race, whatever you want to categorize, that lives here that has a similar story, but just a few things are different. And then you start wondering, okay, well, there's another one over here that's similar, and then there's another one that's similar. And then the further you start looking at history and researching it, you start realizing how most of these groups at one time originated probably from one group,
Right.
and it's separated, and that's how come each group started with their own individual story.
So I know we were talking about this shortly when you guys got here about your overall and your designs. First, let me start. Any requirements? If people want to join, like let's say me, diehard fan. I've never really like taken the step to, I guess go all geared up, right? Because typically, like, well, you're gonna gear up, but then you're by yourself, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like okay. But if someone were to want to join you, like, what are the requirements? Like, what do you have to do?
Honestly, the only requirement we have is one, contact us on our Facebook page so you can set up a meeting or a phone call, talk to one of the founders or a senior member to get in, and then just to show the dedication that you want to. Our group operates and does not operate simultaneously as a car club. Anybody can become a member. You'll get your certificate. We'll explain what you're doing. My patches are on order because I think I am the second to the newest member that's just coming in. There's one guy that came in right after me. But yeah, it's easy to join as long as you're willing to purchase the gear, because it is a little pricey to get proper fitting gear. I mean, you can get the Spirit Halloween stuff, but it's just not the same thing. And then on top of it, just show that dedication and wanting to go to events, meet with people, spread the message. And it takes a little guts. I mean, you're going to be walking around as a Ghostbuster, and you'll have, those mean girls kind of mentality where like, you're nerdy and you're geeky. and all that. But honestly, what we do is no different than wearing a Dallas Cowboy jersey out every day because you're just repping your team, or you're wearing your old Jordans because hey, Michael Jordan's still the GOAT, according to you these days. So just joining is reaching out, letting us know you want to, and then just start coming to events with us.
Now, when it comes to uniforms, I know we were talking about this. Different movies have different uniforms. Even in Ghostbusters, I think it was in the first one, if I'm not mistaken. Even in the montage where they're going to different jobs, doing different things, they switch uniforms.
Right.
They go from that charcoal gray one or to the tan, which is similar to what you guys have, to a charcoal gray one, and I think others in part two. And then some had the pads and some didn't. So how do you guys decide? Hey, this is the look. This is the one we're gonna go for.
Honestly, we aren't too heavy on the specific uniform you wear. Like Herman has said earlier, we have a different chunk of us that are in McAllen, and they all purchased that charcoal gray, almost navy blue kind of a color.
Right.
And they go with that. We're with the tan, and it just ended up being that we're the Cameron County guys, and the Hidalgo County guys kind of sit over there with that color. No intent to be separate. It's just the one they liked. I mean, honestly, I can't wait for it to become available. They started making the animated series flight suits.
Right.
So I'm totally buying Winston's flight suit, and I'm gonna walk in that teal with the orange collar. It's gonna be great. But it really comes on just the one you like the best and how you want to represent yourself. We have one female Ghostbuster that she modeled her jumpsuit after the orange and pink jumpsuit that Janine wears in the animated series.
Right.
So she wears that.
Any other variations? Because I've been to cons, and like another Mandalorian right now is like the thing, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everybody wants to be a Mandalorian, right? And I've seen the cons where it's like all pink Mandalorian, all like Hello Kitty Mandalorian, and then this Mandalorian, that Mandalorian, and I was like, I mean, like, I'm not a Mandalorian fan, so it doesn't like affect me either way, right? But if I was a purist, maybe I'd be like, what are you doing? So in the Ghostbusters world, do you guys have anything like that where people come in with their own like variation of Ghostbusters, like a all Hello Kitty Ghostbuster outfit?
Honestly, we do see some variations that are mostly comic book themed.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've seen like Optimus Prime as the Ecto-1 because that came out of the IDW comic. We've seen Ninja Turtles wearing proton packs. People who've done as the animated series, the Extreme Ghostbusters. So we do see it. And although there are quite a bit of Ghostbuster and Ghost Head purists, I haven't really found that we're rough with each other. If you make a new idea and it looks awesome, we're excited. And for the most part, we'll ask you, how did you get your proton pack to do that? How did you get your build to do that?
The ultimate cosplay would be a transformer that transformed into a Ninja Turtle that has a proton pack. So it's a Transformer Ninja Turtle proton, Ghostbuster. I think that would be like the ultimate.
Yeah, well, we do see people, and I think I'm even wearing the shirt underneath this. It's Ectotron. So in the IDW comic, Transformers and Ghostbusters crossed over, and the Ecto-1 got a spark, so it could transform into an Autobot.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I think
to see into the.
Yeah, actually, I'm wearing the shirt underneath there. There's the Ectotron.
That'd be cool to see, like maybe a paint homage in the next Transformer movie where, a new Autobot comes in and scans the Ecto-1.
That'd be awesome.
And I'll be like, that'd be the coolest.
Every one of us are nerd out way too hard for that.
That'd be the coolest, dude. You know how fast?
I just start throwing my money at the screen. Just take it.
Yeah,
Tony.
just right there in the movie theater. Just here, take it.
Yeah.
Grab it. I can only imagine when that Transformer toy, the Ecto-1 Buster, whatever Transformer.
You can buy it now, Ectotron. Yeah, he's out.
That will be crazy. That would be crazy.
But going back to your thing about how you asked about if there's any, who are all specific uniform or whatever. The whole thing is that what you got to remember is that this group, like especially when you see at Comic Cons, this group were like, hey, you're your own person. We don't expect to be like everyone else. You're your thing. Like we said, we each come from different backgrounds, reasons why we like them, and you're you. Your uniform, of course, you put, certain patches here, there, but of course we'll wear the certain ones, to show that we're part of the RGV chapter. But overall, it's you, what you like. You're accepted for you. We're not judging you, nothing, That's the whole point of the movie itself, They each came from different backgrounds, but they were working together, especially like Winston, how you were saying,
Yeah.
where he's like, I'll believe whatever you want to believe, He came from a completely different background.
Yeah.
He was a blue collar worker, but he was accepted into the group.
Yeah, and that's something we actively promote within our group and to the kids and the adults that get to meet us and hang out with us. That every Ghostbuster came from somewhere different. Some of them are super educated as far as specific niches in their fields, hybrid technology, the paranormal, the occult. Venkman is a paranormal parasocial psychologist, and he honestly acts more like a game show host.
Yeah.
And Winston is just the dude that came off the street, but at the same time, they all come together, bring their skills together, do something amazing, and they all gain different levels of experience.
It's funny. Like I was a psych major in college, and I remember going up to my psych professor, one of my professors, and I had talked to him. I was like, "Hey, is there any chance anywhere where there's actually a field of study of paranormal psychology?" And he looks at me. He goes, "You've been seeing too many movies." He goes, "In the 70s, in the 60s, 70s, there were colleges, reputable colleges that did have programs." He goes, "And over time, they started getting rid of them because there was, there was nothing coming of it. There was no money, there was no grants,
Yeah.
But schools that during a certain period of time did have programs. I mean, just look at, I think it was Project Blue Book, and I think Icarus, where that movie, I Stare at Goats,
Yeah.
where they remote viewing and trying to blow up goats with their minds. So, I think if the society has come a long way with, in the beginning, seeing paranormal as like an off-brand, people kind of like just to now becoming a little bit more mainstream.
I think pop culture helps it. You see shows like Stranger Things, Supernatural, the Buffy
Supernatural.
series, all that.
I have seen people. I kid you not. I've seen people get the sigil,
Yeah, tattooed.
get sigils tattooed, and as somebody who's like, I've read books, because again I've had a lifelong experience with the paranormal. I become fascinated. I read books. I see, I have an understanding of what's going on, and I'll see people tattoo things. I'm like, what in the world, are they getting? It's kind of like when you get a Chinese symbol. Oh, this means warrior. No,
Yeah, it's like it's
means,
udon noodle or
it's
something.
udon noodles,
Yeah.
man. So I see people getting sigils that, look cool on this show or whatever. So I'm gonna get it. I get it. It's, if you're doing it for the show, then great. If you're doing it because you think it's actually something real,
Yeah.
no. And I love shows that are like Taps, Paranormal State, that unfortunately have all been canceled. But I think shows like that have really brought forward, I don't want to say evidence, but at least like the idea of there's something there. There's something there, and I think if more people were to just look into it,
Where it made it more acceptable for people to
Be more acceptable.
interested in it. Not like before, like how you said, where it was kind of like, no, that's just an off
Yeah.
thing.
I think the idea of paranormal investigation becoming more presentable to the general public is a really good lead into what YouTube and social media has done for the entire field itself. Because now you don't need a film crew, you don't need a massive production on it. You can take your iPhone and basic equipment and go out with your friends and really look for this. Honestly, it's stuff that we hate to admit it on camera, but we were doing as kids. Like, oh, let's go check out this abandoned building because we heard it's haunted. So you go out there with your friends at 3 a.m. and doing really dumb stuff, trying to see if it really is, and scaring the crap out of yourselves. But at the same time, you were investigating, and now you can do that and it not be horrifying. Now you can attempt and contact your city hall, say, you have this abandoned building, we would like to look it out. What permit do I need to go in the middle of the night? And you take the proper steps to do it. And that's kind of what we would like to promote with our group. That
Right.
don't go out there and, oh, I'm just gonna go look into it and break and entering and go to jail. Take the proper steps. Do this properly.
Well, I mean, I think jail is like the least of your worries.
True.
Yeah. There's things out there that bump in the night. Now, I think we can all agree that we're all fans of the franchise Ghostbusters. What is do you have a favorite movie? Do you guys have a favorite movie? And what do you think of the latest generation of the Ghostbusters movies and paying tribute to
Do you want to go first, Adnan?
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. I like the first one. I like the first one, especially because of course it has Slimer. You have Stay Puft. The more commonly known, villains, as you'd say, or ghosts. But I liked part two. I liked part.
a lot of people did. Again, the when you go back and you see reviews, people didn't like it, man. But I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Was it as good as the first one? I mean, no, but it's to me personally, it's like right there, and the soundtrack.
Yeah. I mean, anything with Bobby Brown, every little step you take is a good one. Yeah.
And part two, I guess I liked more of the story where it was like, oh, it's a painting that was found, that was brought up. That's
Yeah.
and that to me, I guess that's why I like the whole storyline behind it. And yes, a lot of people bash on the 2016 girl version, that came out, where you just have some people that are okay, all right, and some people just don't like it. They're like, no, it's like blasphemy. But the whole thing is, to me, the way I saw it was, yeah, like we were talking earlier, girls who would watch the cartoon saw Janine and, okay, the Janine Ghostbuster. But the girls never had a Ghostbuster that they could really look up to. And when I was watching the show Ghost Heads, that documentary, there was some clips where they were showing, where they had some parades, and there were some dressed up as the 2016 version, and you saw all these little girls dressed up in it that were looking at it like, and I was like, wow, it's kind of like how us guys see the original Egon, Peter, Winston, Ray, and now the girls finally have theirs to look up to. So that's why, to me, I was like, but I liked it in the sense where it was something now where the girls had their version to look up to. Before, now, well, of course, this one came out, and now they introduced, the female roles into the Ghostbuster movies.
But okay, so I'm like, aside from being a Ghostbuster fan, I'm also like a movie freak, right? I love my movies. I took like two electives on movie critique in college. I was like, but so to touch on that, I think it was the 2016 Ghostbusters. I wasn't against the idea of female Ghostbusters. I've never been against the idea of a female-led movie. I mean, you have Aliens, Sigourney Weaver. I mean, one of the badasses, one of the badass women in action movies. Never been against the idea about that. What I didn't like about the movie is that they put narrative over story. The movie came out with women are better. That mentality that women can do it better. They made the Chris Hemsworth, which was playing the Janine role, the secretary role, into this dumb idiot person. Which, if you look at Ghostbusters 1, Janine was never that. They never made Janine into the eye candy.
Right.
They never made her into the like this dumb. Janine stood up to the boys, to Venkman mainly. She earned her way to becoming a Ghostbuster, right? She was respected. She was part of the team,
Right.
right? I don't think she was ever belittled. And in the new Ghostbusters, they ridiculed him. Like the writers made him into this like idiot that he was only there to be eye candy.
Yeah.
You know, imagine if let's flip the roles and imagine if they made the Ghostbusters today, and then the secretary, which should have been Janine, they put this gorgeous blonde or redhead. You know, they're like, oh, it's misogynistic. This is,
Yeah, in reality, it wouldn't have been made.
it wouldn't be made. So my biggest gripe with 2016 Ghostbusters was that they put an agenda on top of story, and I think that is what aggravated a lot of fans of the original Ghostbusters. Is like it's not so much that it's women. We get it. You know, like it's cool. It's the fact that they that they put agenda over movie over story, and they did not at all honor like the legacy of Ghostbusters.
You know, I think the only spot that I would probably counter with what you're saying is everything you're saying is 100% valid, dependent on the lens you look at it through. So as through a lens of old fans, you know, we grew up with the original movies, we grew up with the original animated series. We look at it through that lens. You know, they're dishonoring the original Ghostbusters. You know, Chris Hemsworth's an idiot. You know, the bad guy is comical and he's cartoonish. You know, all the things that, you know, we've heard it all at this point. You know, I already bashed that movie pretty solidly for quite a bit of time. But then I look at it through the lens of my son. And that was the first experience my son had for Ghostbusters that were original for him. Because, I mean, as a father, of course, I sat him down to watch all the Ghostbusters. Now, he watches everything that I have ever watched, hoping that he gets attached to something so we can, right? And he loved the films. But when that movie came out, he was able to see that one in theaters. And he liked those girls because they were funny in the comedy style that he enjoyed. They were cartoonish and outlandish a little bit. You know, they moved funny. They did weird dances. They said weird phrases. And they're all things that mattered to him and his cousins and, you know, and especially his female cousins, Leia and Emily, are massive into it because it's through a different lens.
So I have a question for you, and this is how I always tell people with when in any other movie, because today, I guess Hollywood these days wants to remake movies to a different flavor, right?
Right.
But if it was, I think it would have gotten less heat. I don't say hate, but less heat if it was not called Ghostbusters. If it was something else, they could have called it the Ghost Corps, right? Playing tribute to Ghostbusters, but hey, different story, different ladies, you know, maybe same plot line because we're honoring the Ghostbusters, but we're doing our own thing. I think people would have given them a lot more leeway. But when you take on the mantle, when you take on the name of the Ghost, it comes with a lot.
Yeah, and
It
I'd
comes
agree
with
you
a
there.
high
That,
expectation. And I think where they fixed it, I think where they did the fans right was with Afterlife.
right.
Because now you have the lead being a little girl, but she's just not any little girl. Now she is the granddaughter.
Yeah, she's
right?
a Spangler.
She's a Spangler. So we automatically attach ourselves to her, right?
Yeah, you're rooting for her.
You're rooting for her because she's one of us. You know, she's part of the family. She's part of the Ghostbuster family, right? It'll be different. It'll be like if, what's happening right now with Iron Man, right? They're
Williams and Ironheart and everything else, yeah.
passing the mantle to Riri Williams
Yeah.
and Ironheart, right? And to me as an Iron Man fan, right? I love Iron Man, right? As an Iron Man fan, it doesn't make sense. It's cool. Like, look, in that universe, there's bound to be people that are going to build Iron Man suits or
Right.
Iron Man-esque suits. But to give her the mantle of the new Iron Man, to me, it's like to the fans, it's like a slap in the face because the obvious person, if you want to give somebody that mantle, is his daughter, right? Is his daughter, and then we would be like, yeah, you know. But again, it's an agenda. To me, it feels like an agenda. to go in a specific direction,
Right.
and what we're seeing with Disney, I thank God Ghostbusters hasn't fallen in the hands of Disney. But what we're seeing with Disney is they're they're kind of failing, and their movies are failing. Ant-Man was, oh man, I was really so bad for it. But they're failing because they're putting agenda over story, over plot.
Some of the whole agenda thing, um, it I guess that's where it also builds down to if you're also just a movie fan or if you read the comics.
Oh yeah,
Because a lot of it takes part also where a lot of people are like, no, well this, well no that, and you're like, no, but read the comics. If you read the comics, it's basically they are still following somewhat what the comics is,
yeah.
and that to me makes a big difference because you have your movie fans and you got the ones who don't follow
No.
anything. And the thing is that Ghostbusters, yeah, there are some comics out there, and that's why you know how they say the whole multiverse thing, where you know
Yeah.
there's different groups everywhere, just like how there's different chapters. Um, but for the Ghostbusters, I think that if it would have done something more that resembled the whole like extreme Ghostbusters type
That
of
would have
thing,
been a
Yeah.
cool direction to
yeah,
go
to
in.
go with. The thing was that for so long, Dan Aykroyd and
Right.
Right, man.
Reitman, Ivan, they were trying to do things, but Bill Murray was the one for this longest time that had always been pushing it back, pushing it back.
By the way, Dan Aykroyd is a nut. Have you heard him talk like legitimately like get into his occult stuff?
Yeah, when
Like
he gets into
he is
aliens and
100%
UFOs
Yeah.
and-
occultist.
Yeah.
Like he is 100%. Like
Yeah, well, I believe it's his grandfather that inspired me to write Ghostbusters.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Grandfather was a paranormalist and
Yeah.
a mentalist as well, so he's really in there.
He's like 100%. I've listened to his radio segments, and yeah, he's like I think Ghostbusters to him is just a continuation of who he is,
Yeah,
and that's, dude, I don't know, man. This, like I said, like this franchise, the characters, I think we can all relate to somebody like who if you had to put yourself in a character, who would you guys most relate to?
For myself, especially the way they took him in Afterlife, is Winston Zedmore.
Yeah,
'Cause,
Winston.
yeah, he started off at the bottom of the barrel. He's just a working guy.
He's a millionaire.
Yeah, and now he owns a massive corporation. In the comic books, he has an honorary doctorate in his field of study. So he's done amazing things, but he worked the entire time to do it. And growing up, like I said, it was one of the few films I could sit down with my grandfather to watch, and that was his big thing. He's like, well, Miko, they work, they do their job, they earn everything. He's not Batman and Iron Man that has millions and his superpower is being rich. He didn't get bit by a spider.
They
or
go out
anything.
there and do the birthday parties and
Yeah, they have to fix the car. They have to put gas in the thing. They have to do the work.
What about you, man?
well,
What character?
growing up, the one I always thought was like, oh, was Egon because he's smart. He's smart. He has the answers to everything. He's one you go to. But now I think I'd be more with Paul Rudd.
Oh, the
The
Paul
one that's like,
Rudd.
this is so cool. This is so vintage, and what do
Yeah,
you
like
think you don't know?
when she pulls out the
trap.
Big trap.
crap, and it's like, oh, what'd you buy? It's like,
Yeah.
it's my grandpa's. It's like, but so so one of the things I'm working on here in the studio is going to be doing the like a YouTube style channel with where I'm going to have kids react. And one of the things I want to, because I've noticed that the same thing with Paul Rudd, where this is her grandpa, and this is in that universe, it's something that happened in real life, right? And she has no idea of who the Ghostbusters are, right? So one of the things that I'm doing here, hopefully, is bringing in kids, people who have never experienced the Ghostbusters, or maybe they've heard about them but they don't know what they are, and just kind of showing them the movie and having them react, expose them to a franchise or a universe that that affected me, and I know affected all of you guys on a personal level. Yeah, man, it's amazing what this movie, what the Ghostbusters have done, what it's sprung,
Yeah.
from the RGV Ghostbusters, the amount of people you guys have helped out of the love of the movie. It's allowed, almost like a door, a vessel to continue doing more great work. Um,
Yeah, I think what it does for us is it allows us as community members to get involved.
yeah.
Like Herman said, we do a lot of work with children hospitals, cancer patients. Annually we are at the Edinburgh Children's Hospital's Halloween event, their Christmas parades. We give away candy, we take photos, whole nine yards. Edinburgh has us out for their police night out every year, and we go out there, especially during the times of COVID. When people were really looking for something to connect to. We wanted to be visible to make sure people understood that you could come together as a community and be with one another and love something and be happy. Times are rough for everybody. Money doesn't go as far as you want it to go. But a love for a show, a love for, a type of research, a passion goes a long way. And we like to share what we love and what we're passionate
So
about.
we're in San Benito right now, and this is Cameron County. Is there just one branch, or is there different like headquarters, offices, or
We just have the one main office, and that's out of Westaco, where Rene is. He's one of our leads, Rene and Ray, since they hold the franchise. But we're the RGV, so you have different groups of us living throughout the Rio Grande Valley, all the way from Starr County down to Brownsville and Cameron County to Willacy. We're spread across.
what's the next event you guys got coming up where someone can go out there and check you out?
The next event that I know will be out, that's a Comic-Con style event, is Storytellers and Legends Convention. And that'll be in Mission, Texas, and that's a literary pop culture convention. They'll be bringing authors and stuff. The Ghostbusters will have a booth there. We'll be giving away some items that we do. We have games and paranormal research we can discuss, and all that jazz, myths and legends and all that.
And if they wanted to reach you out for like a birthday party, an event,
Facebook and social media, 100%. Send a message to the page, and one of us will reach back out and book it.
it's as RGV Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Website.
We don't have an official website just yet. We don't get rich doing this job. Everything we do fundraise goes to charitable causes, or goes to, literally, as in Ghostbuster tradition, fix the Ecto-1. That thing takes a lot of effort to upkeep. There's a lot of lights, a lot of
So
stuff.
I've seen the truck. That you guys is that y'all's main truck, or is there different vehicles out there?
There's two. The truck, which is with Ray most of the time, and then we have our Ecto car, which is the hearse-looking one, and we have that done up with the lights, and we have it with the actual horn and siren from the film. So you'll hear that thing coming from a mile away.
Cool, man. Guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys coming all the way down here, talking to us, or talking. When I told them that the Ghostbusters were coming down, they're like, "What?" Like the movie. It's like no, like the RGV Ghostbusters. Like some of the people had no idea, and that's the whole purpose of the show. The purpose of this podcast is to just kind of illuminate and let people know what there is out here in the valley. These different groups that are doing great things for the community.
Yeah, and if any organization wants us, like I said, for us to help out with events or things, or if people want us for birthday parties, contact the page, and the ones who are in charge of all that, usually they'll contact, respond and set stuff up, and let them, work out the details with them. And but other than that, yeah, we're here for the community. We're here to help there. We don't. We're like we said before. We accept everyone. We're not judgmental. Hey, we're here.
Yeah, we have, people from all walks of life. We have filmmakers and writers, guys that are cashiers. We have electricians. We have advertising guys, the whole nine yards. Guys that own arcades and stuff. We're an eclectic bunch. Yeah, and we like to promote the idea that if you want us in your community, and an event's coming up, since there's only so many of us, and you only go to so many things, let us know what's happening. Or hey, join the group. Join RGV Ghostbusters and represent your city and your town, and we'll be out there with you. We'll help you figure out what suit to buy, what size to get it in, and all that jazz. And we'll guide you along the way to make the group even bigger and better.
That's awesome, guys. guys, thank you so much for being here tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys again, and maybe at a con or something.
Yeah, or at least walking around your building here, seeing what we're gonna find in this
Hey,
place.
if
It's
you
kind of haunted.
if you guys want to come back here, and do your own investigation, people don't believe me, but I think there's something's up.
Yeah, we'll get our guys Chris and
there-
JD to get in here. They'll find something.
There's something up in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Definitely.